Okay, let's start with activities. How do they typically do it? Susie, I don't know if you can talk. Looks like it's off, but do people track at the beginning of class when it's hybrid like this, where it's not in person? Sorry, you're on mute. Let's see. There we go. Now I can hear you.
Am I unmuted?
No, I can hear you now.
Okay, so what was your question, Nick?
I just said, do we track everybody's numbers as a group, or is everybody just accountable by themselves? I've done it both ways.
You mean just in terms of attendance?
Contacts, you have to write 10 notes, right? And add 10 leads to your database.
Okay.
You know what? I think it's kind of funky with hybrid. Let's just dive right in.
Yeah,
Let's just dive in.
I guess I'm not sure.
Okay.
What's our topic, Nick? What's our topic?
The topic that we're going to focus on mostly is prospecting.
Okay.
Prospecting, and then marketing in there, but I personally think that prospecting is what we should spend most of our time on.
Okay.
So do you have your slides? Does everybody have their slides? Everyone's got their camera off and are on mute besides you. Do you have the slides for prospecting and marketing?
We don't.
Okay. Let's see. I thought they were sent in an email earlier. Otherwise, I can just share my screen.
I think.
Here, I'll take care of it here.
Okay.
Or I'll try to at least. Let's see. Okay. This was sent today. I'm just going to resend this to everybody. Okay. How do I? Shit, hold on.
We can always call on Jordan.
I just don't know which office email it is. Which email I send it out to so everybody gets it. I'm pretty sure there was an email sent out. It's titled Ignite Day 8, 1 p.m. today. It was sent at 9:01 this morning, and I believe there's a link there to access the participation materials.
This is going to be here.
I got a link with that. So
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Jordan sent it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Jordan.
Hi. So I'm printing out participation guides for the prospecting and marketing. The presentation should be underneath the facilitator section. If you're looking for it, Nick, or if anyone else is, but usually just the host screen shares and then walks through the slides.
Okay.
So whatever works for you.
That works. I will do that then.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Okay, let me screen share here and I'll get those up. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. Here's what I'll do.
Then you're gonna get out. Yes, yes, okay. We'll see you. We'll see you.
All right.
Yeah, we will too, because we have a meeting with Alex.
Should be one of those PowerPoints.
Yep, right here. I'm just waiting for it to load. Okay,
Any more than last one?
here we go.
Oh, gosh.
All right, we're loading. Okay, can you see my screen?
I can. Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about prospecting. Can anybody give me a 1 or 2 sentence definition of what prospecting is? And you can just blurt them out.
Well, lead generation.
Lead generation. Yes, you prospect to acquire leads, but more specifically, what type of lead generation? Is it proactive? Is it passive? You know, when you're prospecting, what is your objective?
I'd say proactive.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, so prospecting is a form of lead generation that is proactive. The example that I always use, and I say when I talk about prospecting, is you're essentially flipping over rocks. You are going out into the world, and whatever avenue you choose to do that gives you results, you are actively going out, taking initiative and getting in front of people in one way or another. You're not necessarily waiting for people to come to you. The difference between prospecting and marketing is much more passive. That's brand awareness, making sure people know who you are and what your business is, whereas prospecting is going out in front of them. Marketing would be, bus benches. Prospecting is door knocking or phone calling or getting in front of somebody, basically. And the MREA, the Red Book in Keller Williams that many of us have probably heard about, talks about running a business that is prospecting based but marketing enhanced. You want to do both, but in order to build a big business and have a referral base and everything, you need to have prospecting be at the forefront of your activities. I would personally argue prospecting is the most important thing that you need to do in your real estate business. If you don't prospect, everything else comes secondary, because you need to have clients that you're working with in order for anything else you work on in your business to have any value or worth whatsoever. So with that said, I've mentioned a few. What are some examples of prospecting that you could think of where you're going out into the world and essentially asking for business.
I think you already said it, but door knocking.
Yep, door knocking definitely is one.
Cold calling.
Mm-hmm. Cold calling, yep. That's a tough one for some people, but
Emails, writing cards.
yeah, definitely. And I would say emails, texting, writing cards are all good and serve their own function. I think when I think prospecting, I think less soft touches, like an email or a text. That's a softer touch, in my opinion, than a phone call, knocking on someone's door, talking to them face to face, or but they're all important and they all serve a purpose, and your business needs to have a couple of different ways that you're interacting with people. And I'm just going to have the facilitator guide up. We're not going to go right on the script, but it is helpful for me to have that. So has everybody in the first sessions of Ignite, are you familiar with the lead generation model and the pipeline, essentially? Have we discussed that?
Yep.
Okay, very good. And what's important about that, the big takeaway, no matter where you are in your business, whether you're starting out or you've been doing this for a number of years, the lead generation, whichever way that you choose to consistently do it, can never stop. A lot of agents, myself included, get in the habit sometimes. You get really busy, you're out doing a bunch of showings, you have clients, and it can be tempting to take the foot off the gas a little bit, just focus on the business that you have. But you always have to have that carrot in front of you. You always need to be looking for your next piece of business or talking to people, basically having the pipeline be full. It's when you're busy, it's very easy to focus on the business that you have. And a lot of times a natural inclination is to stop focusing on working on the business that you will have. And that's why a lot of agents in this business have peaks and valleys in their pipeline and their sales and everything. And the goal is typically to minimize, the highs and the lows. So again, we already talked about lead generation should be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. Marketing is indirect, whereas prospecting is proactive and direct. I would say too, the vast majority of agents that I've ran into tend to be marketing based and supported by prospecting, and it should be the other way. Why do you think it's better to be prospecting based and marketing enhanced? I've already kind of talked about it, but what are some other reasons? What could be some pitfalls of being marketing based?
You're not having like direct contact with people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like people would remember your interaction better if it was prospecting based.
Yeah, definitely. So, how many bus benches do you drive by every day with someone's face on it or someone's name? And you know, if that person called you directly, you'd probably remember driving by their face or their name every day on the way to the office. But otherwise, you know, whether it's insurance or mortgage, real estate before you got into real estate, I mean, you drive by 1,000 of those a day, and doesn't necessarily create a memorable impact unless you have something else to connect it to. And again, it's especially when you're starting out, proactive prospecting is so important, because that's essentially how you get business right away. You go out and find it yourself, whether that be open houses or talking on the phone, something where they hear your voice, and it's something that's more memorable than just an email, a text, or, you know, a Facebook message. Does anybody else have any comments on prospecting versus marketing? Okay, we can move on then. We're on page 4, and this chart here just shows different methods that you can use to proactively prospect for business. And there's no right or wrong way to prospect as long as you're prospecting. Me personally, I used to, for my first 3 years, I called a ton of expired listings and closed business doing it that way. I have never called for sale by owners. It's just something I haven't done. I know agents who knock it out of the park with FSBOs. Circle prospecting, my personality, I'm very comfortable on the phone. I'd rather call somebody than knock on their door. So expired listing, circle prospecting around open houses. Again, calling expireds and canceleds, and keeping in touch with my sphere. I like it. Calling people that I know, I think a lot of agents run into this, but calling the people I know is actually harder than calling complete strangers. And that's just a hang up that I have, but it's still something you gotta make sure that you're getting in front of your people, your sphere, in some way, shape, or form. But these are all great examples and opportunities. I would say, as a newer agent too, I really like open houses, and I still do open houses, because there are so many opportunities to prospect around the open house. You can make phone calls around neighborhoods if you have a dialer, or you have some way of pulling people's telephone numbers, which is not difficult to get a hold of. You can make flyers and door knock around your listings. I know our team, we typically do 100 flyers in, you know, whatever direction, or just the 100 houses closest to the open house that we're having, just spreading awareness about it. And then, of course, when you're there at the open house, that's an opportunity to talk to people face to face and build rapport. So it's not necessarily. Go ahead. Somebody say something. Nope, just some static. Anyway, as I was saying, I think that open houses are one of the fastest ways to get business, because no matter what your personality, there's an angle or a way you can take to get in front of people. Has anybody tried any of the methods in this group, or in this slide?
Yes, I have done open houses. For me,
Okay.
they are my favorite.
Okay, very good. How many open houses have you done, Martha?
Oh, I was an agent with Coldwell Banker, so I done a lot.
Okay, very good. And have you had success with your open houses?
Yes, I didn't know anybody here in the Twin Cities.
Okay.
That's how I start my business, with open houses.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So you,
Really bad with phone calls.
okay.
I hate them. I can't.
And that's okay, because you found something that works for you.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily need to be a cold caller. So what do you typically do? Do you knock on doors, or do you just meet people at the open house?
I just meet people in
Okay.
the house.
Well, it's a market right now where you can do that, right?
Mhm.
Because inventory is so low and people are looking for houses. So that's fantastic. You've made it work, and you just talk to people while you're there.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I like, to talk with people.
Okay.
Mhm.
How long have you been an agent, Martha?
4 years.
Okay, so you started right around the same time I did. I started late 2016. So you and I both got in when the market was appreciating, and it's a lot hotter than it was 4 years ago, but we've been in when the times are good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm curious, when things aren't as hot, I personally think, if you do choose to make phone calls, which you don't want to do, that's fine. But like door knocking or something just to supplement going to the open house, that's going to be a lot more effective.
Yeah.
Would you say? Yeah.
Yeah.
But kudos to you. So you're a testament, knowing that open houses actually work.
They do. They do.
Okay.
Thanks, Nick.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for the comment. Yeah. Anybody else try any of the methods on here? Anybody else want to reach out?
We've done open houses too.
Yeah. You did open houses too. You see how those work. Everybody runs their open house differently. I mean, some people use sign-in sheets, some people don't. I used to. I personally don't anymore, but and if you're interested in doing open houses, one comment that I would make: some people feel like they need to be ready, or they're not ready to do open houses. If you can get an open house opportunity, just jump in and do it. You're not going to figure out a way or a rhythm with it until you actually try it out. And you might do an open house and say, okay, next time I want to try doing a sign-in sheet, or I'm going to have flyers saying this, or, it's the thing about this career. And I think Martha will attest to this too. The way that you learn what works and what doesn't work for you is by trying it and sticking to something long enough to see some sort of results, whether that's door knocking or phone calling, open houses. It's you very well might get some traction and some opportunities doing it just for a couple of weeks, but anything that you're going to try, seriously commit to doing for, I would say, at least 3 months before you chalk it off as not working, and then track any sort of results that you have a year later, because you might meet somebody at an open house and they're not ready to go for another year. Well, you still can track that back to the activities you did at that open house a year ago. So I would say even 6 months trying something before you rule it out as something that you can't stand doing, or isn't effective for you. Okay. Next topic we're going to do is dive deeping into prospecting methods. So now we're going to take a deep dive into the different prospecting activities listed on the screen, which are door knocking, agent to agent referrals, open houses, and social media. Again, if anybody wants to share anything they've done besides open houses, with social media, agent to agent referrals, or door knocking, has anybody tried any of those activities or had any success with those activities? Okay, that's all right. We'll dive in. So the first one we'll talk about is door knocking, and it's interesting that we're doing this. I was very adverse to door knocking my first 4 years. I just didn't like it. I felt like, people wouldn't answer the door for me, and whoever would answer the door would be like a middle-aged man with his robe half open. And I just did not have a great experience door knocking my first 4 years. And part of that was my mindset. And I just focused on the negatives, and I really didn't do a whole lot of door knocking. So I'm somebody that I've always known that door knocking works. And I know agents that have had a ton of success with door knocking, but it's not something that I have really dove into doing until actually just yesterday. I'm trying to start a farm that I'll be trying to work in West St. Paul, where I'm from. So I went and flyered about 200 doors. So that's not necessarily a knock. That's more of a marketing. I'm marketing to it with flyers instead of door knocking, but in the next couple of weeks, I will be door knocking that area. So door knocking benefits, you can help jumpstart your business. Again, I worked with an agent for a number of years in this office, Ryan Janone. He, like Martha, was not from the Twin Cities and just started door knocking St. Anthony like crazy. I watched him have success in his first 6 months from door knocking the neighborhood that he moved to. And I always had a sense of conflict about that, because I saw him having so much success, but I had such a negative mindset about door knocking. I wanted to have some of the success that he was having, but didn't want to do it and stuck to the phone, and had my own success on the phone, but wanted to supplement that with something. So you can jumpstart your business doing it. I think he just, third or fourth time he knocked on someone's door in a matter of a couple of months, he had gotten a referral. Actually, it wasn't necessarily the person whose door he knocked on, but he worked with some of their relatives or friends to go buy their first house. So Ryan Janone, Beer Bench Janone, is somebody in this office. If you're interested in door knocking, he has had success with it and he's good at it. So I would recommend talking to him. You can build a farm. I know some agents on here have talked about or thought about, if you want to work in the area that you live, you can farm that area by door knocking. You can go introduce yourself, and I know what agents do. You're not necessarily trying to sell anybody's house right then and there, but you're there just to introduce yourself, make sure people are aware that you're in the neighborhood and your brand, and ask permission and set the expectation that you'll be around and you'll be stopping by with either flyers or to knock on their door. And if people say, no, I don't want to be bothered, then keep them off your list. But people tend to have a harder time saying no in person than over the phone or over an email or a text. And then if you just show up every 2 weeks, like you say you're going to, eventually you become the person that they think most about, instead of the person that mailed them a magnet.
I think you froze.
He froze.
Now he's good.
Oh, there you go.
You're back.
You froze for a minute.
Did?
Yeah.
Could you hear me?
No,
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Where did I get cut off?
just for a few, just for like 30 seconds.
Okay. I'll repeat what I think I just said. I just said, with building a farm, you can, what I'm doing right now in a neighborhood in West St. Paul is I picked 200 houses that are really close to where I live in West St. Paul. And my plan is every 2 weeks, I'm going to drop off an item of value or a flyer, just with either market statistics or just with my business card stapled on it. And then I'm going to mix that in with door knocking, say once a month or so, again, with an item of value, but just have a chance to get in front of people. And when you door knock, whether you're farming or you're just door knocking, the mindset is, I guess you're there to set the expectation that you're there for any questions that they have. Just introduce yourself. You know, you don't want to come off having commission breath where you're asking for their business or a referral right away. That may not play well with some people. But if you're farming, just say, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. I just want to let you know I'm here for any help, and then ask for permission to stay in touch. And you may have heard me say this, but people tend to have a harder time saying no to somebody in person than they do over the phone. Not to say that they want to say no to you, but I just think showing up in person and being direct, even with COVID, you can wear a face mask, but that's a stronger touch. And I think people like to see initiative. I just spilled all over myself. And that way people remember who you are too. Again, sorry if I'm repeating myself, but going up and knocking on somebody's door is a much more direct touch and a much more memorable touch than somebody driving by your face every day on the way to work or getting mailed a magnet with your business card on it. Makes you more memorable, especially if you're doing those activities as well.
Nick, can you model a door knocking script?
Sure, yeah. So, you know, if it's your first time in the neighborhood and you're trying to farm, I would just knock on the door. Say, hi, my name is Nick. I'm your neighbor over on 123 Main Street. And I just wanted to come by, let you know that I am a real estate agent. I've been in the business since 2016. Just wanted to give you a flyer with my contact info and let you know that I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. And then you just listen to whatever they say. Some people be kind of sheepish and go back inside. But you want to get them talking. Whatever combination of words and inflection you can use to get them talking is the script that you want to use. But I typically ask, you know, how long have you been in the area and what questions can I answer for you right now while I'm right in front of you? Most people, you know, they'll say nothing, no worries, thank you. And then you set the expectation. Again, I'm in the neighborhood. I'd like to stay in contact. Is it all right? Or you could say, is it all right with you if I stay in touch and either leave something for you or come back every month? Just ask them directly. I would say most people, some people might say no to that, or they're okay, they're taken care of. But other people will be like, yeah, no problem. And then anybody you have a good conversation with or you get a little chatty with, go home and send them a little handwritten card with your business card in it. And then next time you go knock on their door, you say, hey, how's it going? Did you get that card that I had sent? You know, so they can start connecting the dots to who's trying to stay in contact with them.
Good, thanks.
Yeah. And then, you know, that's if you're trying to build a farm or that's somewhere you're trying to work a little bit, but otherwise, if you're planning on door knocking for an open house you're having, again, I would do, whoops. My screen is sharing my email, oops. Thanks, Jordan. I thought I was sharing my other screen. Having some problems. I'm still getting used to.
Do you need, oh, one sec. Do you, oh, you got it?
Did I get it?
Yeah,
Nope, we
you
can
did.
see just,
No?
Okay, I have nothing to hide in my email, but like you guys can see.
Yeah, if you go down and hit stop share
Okay,
and then you hit share again, there should be like 5 different screens up
yes.
and
One of
you,
them is the Chrome Ignite.
what'd you say?
Actually, it has mail. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna exit out of all my other screens.
That works.
Perfect. Okay. See, everybody, you don't need to be a tech genius to teach Ignite. Sometimes you do it from the hip and nobody dies and everything works out. So glad I didn't have any embarrassing emails for everybody to see. That didn't work either, did it? Nope.
You're so close.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Let's
There
see.
should be like, it's hard when I'm not doing it.
Okay, I'm opening this prospecting facilitator guide. Is this the worst Ignite session that anybody has been to?
No.
Raise your
Oh, there's
hand.
been technical difficulties at every single one. So
Great. Okay.
every day is a learning thing.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, I don't want the participant guide. I want the facilitator guide. Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna try this again. Okay, how does that work? How does that look?
Yay. Good.
Wow. Okay, thank goodness. Sorry, everybody.
That's okay.
So now you can see what I've been talking about this whole time. Okay, so door knocking. If you're door knocking for an open house, my script is typically, I mean, my mindset, first of all, if you're door knocking for an open house, I mean, you're doing it to let people know about a listing in the neighborhood. You're not bothering anybody. You're not, disturbing anybody or coming off as a shyster or anything. So get all of that out of your head. You're not doing any of that. You're there to advertise a listing, be it yours or somebody in this office, for your market center. You're there for our sellers, and you're just there to let them know A, about a listing going on in the neighborhood, and B, you're just there to spread the word and invite them to the open house, because this is assuming you're hosting an open house for it. So my script, hi, I'm Nick. I'm with Keller Williams. I have a listing down the street at 123 Main Street around the block from you. Just wanted to come out and spread the word. And I'm wondering if there's anybody that may be looking for a house in your neighborhood. And whatever they say, you can ask, have you seen the sign? You know which house I'm talking about. Tell them a little bit about the house, give them a flyer, ask if there's any real estate needs that they have, or what questions you can answer for them, and then make sure that they know about the open house. And again, if it's a good conversation, ask their name, ask for their contact info, and send them a card. Maybe they're looking to sell in 2 years and they tell you to come back, or they know somebody that wants to buy. If they tell you they want to do something in the foreseeable future, ask them to stay in touch. So basically, let me backtrack. You're knocking on their door to see if there's anything you can help them with, but you're also, the reason that brings you there is to tell them about your open house. So again, you're not there to offend anybody, and you shouldn't feel like you're there to offend anybody, because if anybody gets offended by that, I mean, personally, that's not somebody I want to work with anyway. So, you can't please everybody. Does that answer your question? I feel like I'm just sort of rambling. Okay. Does anybody have any comments or questions about door knocking before we move on?
I do. I just have kind of a comment slash question. Is I haven't done any door knocking yet. I feel kind of weird doing it in COVID
Sure.
life. Does anybody have any like thoughts on that, or I don't know? What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm talking right now as if COVID wasn't a thing. And obviously
Right.
before COVID, it was a little different. Right now, I know people who are still doing it.
Mhm.
And what they're doing, you could wear gloves, or you could wear a mask when anybody comes out and make sure you're standing off of their steps. Some people are weird about it, so you just have to make a judgment call for yourself.
Okay.
But this is a temporary situation, right? And
Yeah.
again, it's based on your personal preference, and but COVID won't be around forever.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, you said you sometimes bring an item of value with you?
Well, an item of value could just be a flyer with market statistics that you can pull off at MLS. You know, depending on how flashy you want to get, you could put candy in there for them or something, or just something if it's around the holidays, put a little, insert a little card in there, and then put your business card. Hey, I want to drop this off, a coupon, whatever you want to do. Could just say free market analysis. If you're having an open house, drop off a flyer with info about the listing, and then times at the open house, like an invitation. Just something to leave them, something that you can leave with them. And sometimes it's going to go straight in the trash, but you still left it for them. And if you knock on their door a bunch, maybe they'll start saving your stuff. And then again, obviously, anybody that you have a good conversation with, those are people you should try to get their contact info with, and those are people you should be adding to your database. And either knocking or calling, staying in touch with on a consistent basis, because if they say they want to do business 2 years down the road, you want to be the person that they call and say, hey, come list my house and help me buy a $600,000 house.
Okay, Nick, just a silly question. You're bringing a notebook around, or like a form you could just fill out quickly, and if you get a good lead?
Yeah, definitely. You could do that. I bring a little Aldi's bag with me that I keep my flyers in, and I'll keep just a tiny little notebook. And then, yeah, anybody I have a good conversation with and want to ask them for contact info, I write down their name, their address, and then whatever they're willing to share with me.
Okay.
And then again, you put them into command or your database. And, maybe somebody has some serious questions for you, or, hey, come back at this time. You want to jot down notes. You say, oh yeah, hey, hold on, and then you write down whatever you need to remember that they're telling you.
Okay.
I mean, it's, it's not it's simple, right? I mean, there's no combination of ways to do things that's more effective than the other. You just got to do what works best for you. If you have a photographic memory, which I don't, remember everything in your head. If you don't, then bring a notebook or something. Okay, we're going to move on. Agent to agent referrals. In full disclosure, this is something that I haven't really tapped into. But again, it's something that I know works, and I know agents from across the country that I just see they always get referred whenever in one of those agent groups. They somebody asks for a realtor in Houston, Texas, or somewhere else, there's 1 or 2 agent names that come up almost every time, and they basically run their business, sometimes more than half off of getting pieces of business from agents around the country. So, and you can grow your referral network through Kelly. You can find, I'm forgetting exactly where it is. Maybe Jordan or Heather might have more info on this, but you can actually see where most people are locating, either to or from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. And those are the agents and those are the people in different markets that you want to get in contact with, and make sure that they remember you and that you're top of mind, for anybody that they have that may be moving to the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, or anybody that you know moving from our area to the other area. Because you'll either get a very warm referral that's ready to work with you from agents from other markets, or if you have a database of people that are moving out of Minnesota, you can refer them out, and you won't work with them directly as a client, but 2-3 months down the road when they find a house, you'll just get a check for doing, I don't want to say nothing because you found them a good agent to work with, but for not doing the brunt of the work. And as you, this is one, if anybody wants to pipe in and comment, feel free to, because again, I haven't done a ton with agent to agent referrals, but I would say this is one, as you grow your brand and grow your business, get some closings experience, you're going to become much more referable, because especially with Kelly and the Keller Williams technology, agents are looking on there to see who's closing, significant business in certain areas before they decide to refer somebody out. That's all info that we share with each other as a company. But Martha, if you can hear me, you said you're newer to the Twin Cities. Where did you move from, if you don't mind me asking?
We moved from Duluth, and
Okay.
yeah. So one of the things that I want to tell everybody, just make sure that all your friends from another cities or another state, they know that you can do the refers, because I lost a lot of deals or refers deals because they didn't know that I could do that. So they hire another agent. So
Yeah.
just
Well,
make sure they know that you can do that.
That's a good point, and thank you again. Yeah, that's a very good point. If you are from another area, know a lot of people from either a different part of the state or city. Again, I'll reference my old teammate Ryan Janone. He's from California, and I know in the couple years that we worked together, even though he was doing business in Minnesota, he called, and everybody from back home in the middle of California knows that he was a real estate agent. I think he actually worked a referral or two, and out in California, I mean, houses are at least $750,000. You can imagine what that referral check was. So it goes both ways. If you're not from the area, your people from where you're from definitely still need to know that you're in real estate, should come to you before they go out and find a realtor on their own. Or if you have people moving from out of state, you want to make sure that you have good contacts that take really good care of your clients, because the service they provide is going to be a reflection on you. Does anybody else have any other comments?
So I was wondering, one of my friends is renting in Chicago and wants to go through a realtor.
Okay,
And I referred her to a KW realtor
okay.
there. But like, how does that work with the referral if she's just renting? You know?
So when does she want to purchase?
Well, she wants to rent. She doesn't want to purchase.
Oh,
She
well,
wants to work through an agent.
I guess I've never done that, and I'm not sure what protocol is in Chicago. I know here you can. And again, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but typically, if you're working through an agent, the agent that brings the renter is compensated by a small percentage of monthly rent, which around here comes out to be a few $100. Chicago, it might be more expensive, but I think you generally, I don't know, depending on what it is, you could ask that agent to fill out a referral form. Did you already talk to that agent?
I just emailed her today and connected them and said that I work with KW.
Okay. So you didn't have any contact with that agent before?
No.
Okay. So, it may not necessarily be too late, but what I would have done first is talk to that agent, say, hey, you know, I looked you up. Are you open to a referral? You know, how about 25% of what your, you know, whatever the commission is on that rental? And if I were you now, I would say, hey, you could say I jumped the gun, or you could just say, you know, my friend is, I connected you and my friend. Could you work with her for 25 or 30% of whatever you think is fair of the closed commission price? Otherwise, I'm going to advise she works with someone else, or I'm going to find her someone else that is willing to do that. In the future, I would make sure you have at least a verbal agreement with somebody before you give them an at-bat with your referral clients.
Okay, that's good to know. I wasn't sure how to go about it.
That's all right. And hopefully that agent isn't, you know, scheming, because maybe you have other opportunities for her in the future and she's not going to be, for lack of a better word, nasty about it.
But then at the end of the day, it's what? I feel like it could be like $20, $50, so it's not.
Yeah,
bad.
that's the thing. Again, I'm not familiar with Chicago's rental market, but
Can I interject just a
Please.
different perspective that, you know, I mean, I would look at what Elizabeth is doing is building a possible future connection with that agent back her way. So maybe you don't get your 25 or 30%, but maybe a year or 2 or 3 years down the road, that comes back to you in a different way. You know what I mean? Like a two-way, like it's a two-way relationship.
definitely. And you know, next time I spoke to her, I would say, I would bring that up. You know, hey, if you know anybody looking in the Twin Cities, please keep me in mind.
Yeah, maybe I'll send her an, because I CC'd my friend on it, but maybe I'll send her a separate email and go into that.
Sure. That works. Any other questions or comments? Do you work with a lot of agent-to-agent referrals, Beth?
You know, I do, I'm brand new, so no,
Okay.
but just in life. And then like I had a conversation just a sec with a agent about 2 months ago, and she was having a problem with a lockbox, and the address was like a mile from my house, right? So
Mhm.
then last week, she called me, and that listing that she was having trouble with the lockbox at, and I offered at that time, you know, just call me if you need anything, like no
Mhm.
strings attached, right? Well, she called me last week and like dumped her expired listing into my lap. now the guy ended up totally flaking out or whatever, but her piece of that relationship was saying, hey, here's this guy, here's his number, like, you know. So I
No,
think
definitely.
things can come back to you in ways that aren't necessarily within the regular protocol of an official KW referral, I guess is my point, not like bigger life, not just real estate.
No, definitely. I wholeheartedly agree. You know, you do good by people, good things ought to happen back, right? And you know, that's somebody, I mean, I think that's awesome that happened to you, Beth. And that's somebody you may want to keep in contact with, that other agent, in some capacity, just so they do remember you. Right?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Okay. Any other questions or comments about agent to agent referrals? All right, we can move on to open houses, which I've already sort of given my 2 cents on. And I think we have more people than we had initially. So does anybody else have any comments or questions about open houses before I dive in again? Has anybody here done many open houses aside from Martha
A few.
and Susie and Elizabeth?
What do you say, Nick? I'm sorry.
Oh, I just asked if anybody else, since we have more people on the call now, has had much success or done much with open houses yet.
Yes,
Okay.
it's been a while since I've done one though,
Mhm.
but I do like open houses. So I do end up picking up buyers.
Yeah, likewise, which tend to stack up in this market, right?
Mm-hmm. Lynn a while back went to an open house with a client who started handing out these really cute clipboards with like a really friendly, like, here's a pen, here's like, what do you like about the house? You know, are you, you know, just to get their information and can we follow up with you type deal. And are you working with an agent?
Mhm.
So she started implementing that. And again, it's been a while since we've done an open house because our listings are selling too fast.
Yeah.
But it was working.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping to jump back into that strategy soon, eventually.
Yeah, definitely.
Nick, how do you make the clients to sign up?
At the open house.
Yeah.
So I actually, did you say you've had success with that?
I haven't, but Lynn and Cree have. It's been a long time since I've had it.
Yeah.
I had it open.
So-
Just being really friendly, basically. You know, the seller wants to know who's in their house.
Yeah.
Is how we kind of put it. But my approach is pretty warm. Like even in an open house without a clipboard, I'm that warm person, that warm greeting, ask you how you're doing, what brought you in, and then I just try to naturally flow into are you looking in the area? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's approach is different, but before COVID, I don't really do open house sign-in as much as I used to. I used to do it a lot. There's pros and cons to having a sign-in sheet, and I'll explain what I mean in a sec. But before COVID, I would just, greet them at the door. I would give them a flyer, and then I would ask, hey, if I could have you sign in just so the seller knows who's coming through their house, that would be appreciated. And similar to what you were saying.
It doesn't always work.
Was it?
Oh, it doesn't always work. People don't always want to sign in.
They don't always want to sign in, or they might give you a little scribble. And some people fill out their info completely, but you make a little grid. It's really simple, name, email, phone number, and then whether or not they're working with an agent, and then you could just put permission to contact. And if they say, you have permission to contact them, I call them, email, text them until they respond. But
Yeah. Well, one of the other questions is if it looks like they've been through this, if they look like they're seasoned buyers, we're doing it, we're here to see the house. I ask them, well, did your agent send you in?
yeah,
And then if they say yes, I'm like, well, who is it? So I can thank them for sending you through. And
yeah,
that kind of gets another conversation going.
yeah. Or sometimes they just don't remember. It's like, oh, that's great.
Or they say they don't remember.
Yeah.
That's a great
You
idea.
know, go ahead, Martha.
No, I say that that's a great idea of,
Yeah.
But I found too, and there's not one right way or one wrong way to do it, but some of the pitfalls I've had with the sign-in sheet is sometimes you ask people to sign in and all of a sudden their guard is up. They are expecting a phone call, or they might enter, a bogus phone number, or really scribble it down. One piece of advice I could give from the sign-in sheet, make sure you could write down a couple of your friends, but have a couple of, your first two that have a valid, a fully legible phone number, a fully legible email, and, have it how you would like other people to write it out. It could even be your name. Because that sets the expectation. Because a lot of times I've found if people walk in and they don't have, they're the first people in, they might scribble it in, and then that just sets the expectation for everybody else to just kind of scribble it in, and it's not even legible, or they might not fill it out completely, because you want that info.
Oh yeah, I've been doing that for years. I've been filling my husband's name before he was my husband.
Yeah. I've got my roommate, one of my
with his old
best
home
friends,
phone number.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. And you want to keep it friendly too, because again, people might have their guard up after asking them to do that. And sometimes if you can just get a natural conversation going with people and then ask them directly, do you mind if I stay in touch, or what's a good phone number? I can give you a call later. If the conversation's working, just take the initiative, take the risk of asking for it. They might tell you no, or they might say they're not comfortable, but I don't think that's killed anybody yet.
And have a stack of business cards in case they just blow you off, but yet still take a card. You never know.
Exactly. Asking for a business card is a really easy way for somebody to stop talking to you. But I've also, it totally depends on the person. I've had people that I pass my card out to that they actually call me back, but most of the time, if you just ask a business card and don't get any other info from people, again, that's not a very direct ask for business, I guess.
Yeah. I like to ask people if it's obvious, are you a veteran? And then I go into the whole,
yeah, because
I work with a lot of veterans, so then I try to get on their good side that way. So there's different angles you can take.
Absolutely.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Because your team does a lot with veterans.
I say my dad's a veteran, and I mean, really, it just kind of kicks off from there. But everyone has their own little angle or niche, and it's good to know what yours is.
And I'm glad you're on, Ashley, too. What does your team do? Does your team do any activities around open houses right now besides just show up with the flyer?
Isaac does a lot.
Okay.
So I gotta be honest, I was listening in on your door knocking, but I didn't chime in until the open house part. I actually have lived in my neighborhood for about going on 3 years, and I've never door knocked it.
Okay.
But now I want to make it something to hang on the, like you said, flyer. I'm thinking like door hanger.
The door hanger, yeah.
And I have 2 cute dogs. So I'm like, I'll just take a picture of me and my dogs, and I take my dogs on walks, and I'm hoping that kind of starts conversations. But I'm gonna have a listing in my neighborhood here, like in St. Francis, eventually, as soon as he finds a house. And I'm hoping to really kick it off with more face-to-face and all that jazz. But Isaac will door knock and do flyers, and he's really, really good at that.
I've heard that.
I think Cree has done some stuff. We've only done a handful of open houses since COVID. Lynn used to, back in the day, she used to door knock like a mad woman. And I've always been more shy about that. So I need to be better.
Sure.
but everything you're saying is good. It's all good stuff and it works.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And I'll just say too, I don't do everything that I'm talking about either. I'm just starting to door knock, kind of like how you were saying. But you just have to find the activities that work for you and that are fruitful for you. And things that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk my dogs a lot this summer if I can.
And for you
Yeah.
too, I'm just thinking your situation, you might, if you're passing things out and if you're knocking on doors and then people see you in the neighborhood and, you're waving at them, I mean, they're
That's
going
my
to know.
plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm gonna have to instead of carrying, I'm gonna have to have a fanny pack with some doggy bags and business
Yeah.
cards. I'm hoping.
Yeah. So
I think there's lots of things you can do.
sure.
Yeah, I miss doing open houses. I used to do them all the time, and then
Yeah.
the last year hit, and
Yeah. And
That's
you know,
hard.
the situation we're in, because
yeah,
somebody had asked earlier, Larissa had asked earlier about door knocking during COVID, and it is kind of a weird time. You probably agree with that, but it's not always going to be this way. And
kind of live up north though for you guys, and
I
Up here-
suppose, yeah,
they don't really. No one really seems to have a care. But they don't
I
care.
suppose.
They're kind of over it, but they're not. So I have a feeling versus a cute neighborhood in St. Paul, it'll be a little bit different vibe this way, but
yeah,
I'll find out.
yeah, definitely. Won't know till you try, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we used to do HUD homes. We would go on HUD Home Store, and Lynn and I would find something to go do an open house at. I mean, business has changed.
Yeah, it has.
And HUD homes used to get a lot of traffic.
Mhm. So,
I have a question, sorry.
sure, please.
Oh.
Hi everyone. My question is, my open house is coming up next weekend.
Okay.
Actually, this Saturday and Sunday. It's the
Okay.
first time I am gonna have this open house. So, do you bring agency relationship form with you when you have your open house? If you catch the potential buyers, do you ask them to sign it, or what do you do? How do you do this?
So the agency disclosure you're talking about?
Yes.
So what you're supposed to do at, I'm trying to be careful. We have the broker's daughter on here.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. So what you're supposed at first substantive contact, which is they talk to you about their price point, their motivation for buying or selling, or any terms that they're willing to offer.
Mhm.
You're supposed to have that form on hand just to at least have to present to them. And hopefully I don't get kicked out of the market center for this. Sometimes I forget about it when I leave, but I have it's pretty easy to access. I would have something saved on your computer, or it's just saved on your phone to present in case that happens. So short answer, I would just have, even if it's just one copy of that, I would have that at your open house. And once somebody starts really talking to you and you're having a good conversation and they talk to you about, oh, I really like this house, I'm looking for this. They start talking to you as if, they're giving you information that you would use to help them buy or sell a house. That's when I would say, hey, I just need you to look over this and sign off on this. It's not agreeing to work with me, but it's just going over the 4 types of business relationships you can have with a licensed agent in the state of Minnesota.
Mhm.
Even if they don't want to sign it, you can always, oops, hold on. Sorry, I didn't know I could do that.
Okay.
Oh wait,
Hopefully Lynn's not in the background.
yeah, I'm at home in my
Okay.
casual wear. No, you can actually have them initial that they didn't want to sign it, and yet they still kind of signed it. And having the cam scanner app on your phone, in case it was a good conversation and you want to get their info, you could always just send them a PDF version of what they just signed, and then they got your email too.
Oh,
I don't know. There's all sorts of sneaky things we can do.
Mhm.
That's
Okay.
ethical, but sneaky.
Yes.
okay, good idea. Thank you.
Mhm.
Let's try.
I don't know.
I had a comment that gave a great idea. That's a form, I think that's really easy to keep with you
It is.
no matter where you go.
Exactly,
You know,
yes.
it's nothing that's confidential information, so you could just leave it in your car.
Mhm.
I guess when I do the open houses, I have my own standard things I bring, you know, besides papers, and that would be, you know, very easy to include. So that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that. So
Yeah.
just,
Print off, you know, 10 of them and just have them in a folder in the back of your car. If you get started talking to somebody, you can present that. I would just have it on hand at your open.
Okay.
Yeah, just have it on hand. It's always a good idea in case someone tries to turn you in. Just be like, I showed it to them.
That way.
Better
know.
to have it than not have it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Do you also keep the video on? I do have also video record from the house. Do you put this onto TV? Do you do this type?
Oh, like doing a live video?
Yeah. Do you think is it
Yeah.
a good idea or not? I don't know.
I do when I remember to. Doing a live video or just recording a video of yourself at the house is
No, not myself. I mean the house. I do have already recorded one.
okay.
The video player, photographer did it for me. So do you
Okay.
think should I transfer it to the TV, then everyone can watch it? I don't know. Does it make sense because they are gonna be already seeing the every rooms from the house? I don't know.
I would say, I mean, I don't think it would necessarily hurt. I think where that video would have the most value for you is to put that, if it's the video I think you're talking about, is put it online, put it on Facebook, put it places where people can see it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you have your computer, maybe you could have it playing in the background of your open house.
Yeah, in my computer, not on
Yeah.
TV. Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Mm-hmm.
And does anybody else have any other comments or anything? Otherwise, I'm probably just going to repeat what I had said earlier about open houses and what my strategy is with opens. Okay, so I'll just give a brief recap. Forgive me if you heard me say this a little earlier. But my open house strategy, whether it's my listing or somebody else's in this office, is it's the activities around the open house to generate business instead of trying to generate business just at the open house. You obviously want to have a lot of people walk through, a lot of prospective clients. You absolutely want that, but there are so many opportunities to market yourself and the listing around the open house that I think they're good chances to get in front of people and prospect. And it's a pretty easy touch where, you know, you're not necessarily going directly to people and, you know, you're not barking at them about your business or trying to get them to buy or sell with you right away. You're contacting the neighborhood, your circle prospecting, your door knocking, just letting people know about the listing, especially if it's new, and you're letting them know about your open house. So for me, I use a service called Mojo Dialer, and I'm able to pull neighborhood numbers from there. And you want to be careful because you can choose between calling all numbers or calling numbers that are not on the do not call list. Admittedly, I used to call the do not call list, and my mindset with it was, you know, you're not soliciting directly, you're just letting people know about an open house. Some people aren't comfortable doing that, and that's totally okay. You don't need to, but you can circle prospect around the neighborhood with making calls, and you can door knock or flyer, however you want to do it. But if people are getting 2 touches, they hear about your open house through a voicemail that you left them, and they're getting a flyer from you, that's a good way to be memorable and start having good conversations. And then especially if they come to the open house, you can talk to them and find out where they live, if they're from the neighborhood. And that's somebody you can systematically follow up with by calling them, writing them letters, anything. But to your, you know, the main point of your phone call is just inviting them to the open house. And you can also, I didn't mention this, but you can do Facebook ads. I try to, again, when I remember to, I try to do Facebook ads through Kelly and Command, which if you talk to Jen Minder, she'll show you how to do those. It's actually quite simple. I'm not a techie person, as I've already demonstrated today, and I can run Facebook ads, no problem. It's very cheap. You can spend $30 and reasonably expect to get anywhere between 10 to 20 names. Some of them will be bogus, but you know, those are people who you can get their contact info and call about, see if they have any questions. So there's lots of different ways that you can market and prospect around open houses. Anybody have any questions about anything I just said? Okay. Then again, prospecting, obviously anybody you have a good conversation with and somebody that you have their contact info you want to put into your database. And it's important. There are several different smart plans you can put them on. If you have somebody's email, you should be sending them either something over email or sending them cards or something like I mentioned before. Just any way to keep it in front of them and just, you know, touch them every month. And then when you call them, you have an excuse to call and say, hey, have you been getting my emails? Hey, did you get the card that I had sent you? You know, just anything you can use as an excuse to call back. It doesn't have to be every time, hey, you know, give me business, I'm here, you know, because that's going to turn people off and nobody here wants to do that. So you just need to have a combination of the passive marketing, be it a drip campaign or emails, combined with proactive prospecting. And it all makes sense over time.
Coming from contribution is something the Odd Couple team said, and that's something that really stuck with me.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's what you're describing, that in simplest ways, just come with something to share with them.
Something, yes, thank you. Come from contributions. Like those emails, it could be as simple as a monthly market update, which is all automated in Command, where it might show if you have their address or something, it might just show market statistics for their neighborhood. Otherwise, if they're a buyer, it can show market statistics throughout the MLS. And those are things that you can talk about next time that you call them. So thank you, Ashley. Yeah, just coming from contribution and sending them something of contribution instead of just soliciting.
Yeah, I'm all about the warm touches.
Yep. Yeah.
So
once somebody gives you permission to call back and you have a couple of good conversations and they remember you because you called them, I mean, it could be twice a year that you call them, but if you do that enough, they will remember you. All of a sudden those become fun phone calls and you're BSing with some guy that you met in person once, or, you know, it was a cold call once. And then after that, it's a warm touch. You got to plant those seeds and eventually you can cultivate it into a relationship, but it's absolutely a long game. And Ashley, you can back me up on this. Most agents are looking for the shiny object, and they'll get in touch with somebody twice in 3 months and they'll go, okay, there's no gold here. And then they go and try to find somebody else who's, you know, hot to trot. And you can just be somebody. I mean, I met with somebody, or I was supposed to meet with somebody, earlier this week, who's had a death in the family. So unfortunately I couldn't meet where we scheduled, but That was an expired I called 4 years ago. And I'm not listing their house, but they want help buying a up to $400,000 house north of the cities. Absolutely, I'll do that. And he called me because I've left him messages and talked to him maybe 3 times a year since middle of 2018.
Yeah.
It works.
Well,
It works, you know?
when I first got in the business, we did realtor.com leads and
Yeah.
I held on to a guy for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Every once a year, twice a year, he'd meet me to go see a house and he finally bought one.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of those things I like to do, hang on to people, especially if I've got a good rapport with them.
Well, especially too, you know, you think, okay, that's a long time to just be talking to one person expecting results. But I mean, if you're doing open houses every weekend, and let's say every 3 open houses, you get something that sticks.
Well,
shit, that compounds, right? Excuse me. Sorry. I forget that not everybody's in the training room. But it works.
oh, I think it just depends on how hungry you are.
Yeah.
Pretty hungry in this market.
I'm starving, man, you know?
Yeah.
And the activities that the seeds you plant today, that's going to be potential business for you 6 to 12 months out. And even if it doesn't feel like you're busy today, again, that's why prospecting is so important, because the activities you do today are going to reap results for you anywhere from 3 months to a couple years out. So that's why you always have to be doing the activities.
Yep.
Sorry, I get really
I'm not very good at activities. If I was better at them, I probably maybe would have a couple more deals going. So I do need to work on that.
We're all hurting right now. There's just no houses on the market, but that's going to change. You got to be ready for that, and you got to be working as if that's right around the corner.
Yeah.
We are, you know, so.
Trying.
I am going to move on. Social media. Okay, this is one I can talk about. So social media, in my opinion, can be both a marketing tool and a prospecting tool. But in my opinion, I think social media is a stronger marketing tool than prospecting tool, but it can be very, very important and supplemental to your business. And I say that because I've had results from social media. Does anybody here have a Facebook business page that they use or had any results off of? Ashley might be able to help with this too, because I know your team is pretty active on social media.
We try.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a business page, and that's again something I need to interact with more.
Me too. It's hard when you don't have many closings because there's no houses on the market, but
I need to start like posting goofy snaps of my dogs or something just to engage with people. I don't know. I need to figure out something I can do that's friendly.
yeah, you know,
But we do get a couple Facebook leads every now and again. We've got, a bilingual agent, Isaac, he can work with all our if someone comes in more comfortable just speaking Spanish, like they don't want to work with, say, me, they'll come in through Facebook too. Like we'll get leads that'll come in, all sorts of people, all sorts of communities. People like to message off Facebook. Sorry, I don't know where I was going with that first comment, but no, we just tend to have different. Facebook is a place where a lot of people communicate.
Ashley, I hate to put you on the spot. Either could you take over for me for 30 seconds, or could we take like a 5-minute break? Is everybody open to that? We do 5 minutes.
I don't know what you want. I don't have anything to talk about.
Okay. Well, I mean, how long have you been doing it, Ashley? About.
Oh my gosh, that's a good question.
You're doing it longer than I have.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I want to say I was probably like maybe 7 years. I gotta go on Post Portal and see when I was officially licensed now that we're talking. I remember I was living in my apartment and so that was in my early 20s and I am 31. So it's been a while.
Okay.
And I finally starting to get referrals back from people, which is cool. Because they see I've been in the business long enough. And unfortunately, I feel like because I don't have gray hair, some people don't want to work with me.
I'm sorry.
Just the fact that they don't, I don't know. It's just like they see you're a young person sometimes and you're selling their young kid a house. And I feel like sometimes I get looks from parents like, oh, you don't look old enough to be selling my son a house.
I know, I get that. I get that too, but then you get people who,
Then I have people who love me or tell me they love me. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, everyone's different.
okay, so I'm calling for a bathroom break until 2:35. You can either chat amongst yourselves or everybody can be back by 2:35. I'll dive in more to social media.
Go for it.
So I'll see everybody in about 2.5 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna stand up.
So
2015.
People a few minutes. Okay, we get started again. All right, I'm going to dive in. Okay.
Oh, Lynn had a question, if it's okay if I ask you. So I just talked to her for a minute. Did you say that you call FSBOs or you don't do FSBOs?
I do not call FSBOs. I like to call expireds and canceleds. You can get
Okay,
you can get both from
Yeah.
Land Voice is a service that I use. You can call for sale by
Okay.
owners. Mojo, you can use that as a dialer and to get data from.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. She was just curious because she's like, he does a lot of calling. Ask him a question for me. Like,
Sure. Yeah, I'd look into Land Voice,
okay,
Red X,
Red
and
X.
Mojo. Yes.
Okay. We're just trying to find different avenues for business.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, this one was for an entire one. So this is what it looks like. So you will put it, it has all the information.
Oh, and the answer is 6 years, Nick. I got licensed in 2015.
Okay. You got a couple of years on me, or like a year.
I
and a
thought-
half. I got it into 2016.
Yeah,
They have to sign, which
there they go.
did not do the follow-up.
Okay, we're gonna get started again. Talking about
And the phone number,
social media.
but we're talking about, it wasn't 2019.
So social media is it's become very important. Most people are on social media now. Most people have a smartphone or a computer they use, like the ones that everybody's using right now. And I would say most people nowadays are on some social media channel, be it Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Snapchat. That's where people's eyeballs are, for better or for worse, a lot more often than even 5-10 years ago. So in my opinion, and for agents of the future, it's going to be important to stay relative and have content on different social media channels, for people to see you. If nothing else, I mean, seeing your face scrolling through another closing or something about your business on Facebook is arguably a similar touch to leaving a flyer on somebody's door or having a bus bench that people drive by every day. They actually call social media and having an active presence online, they call it digital door knocking. Even if people just scroll by your name a number of times, it's all about repetition and just seeing that you're in business. So ever since I started, I have tried to maintain a active presence on social media, and it was hard. It was uncomfortable. It was strange when I started back late 2016 to kind of throw myself in the deep end and let people know that I was an agent, but it's become so much more natural and easier now, because I'm not as brand new. I still consider myself a newer agent, but I think people now are used to seeing me, and I had a number of closings last year from people that I hadn't spoken with since college, and I'm 7 years removed at this point, that wanted me to help them, or they reached out on Facebook because they saw that I was posting about, my real estate business all the time. I had been posting about it for 4 years, and I don't know, I figure their mindset reaching out to me was, okay, he's doing it 4 years later, he must not stink at it. I don't know what they thought, but I was the closest point of contact for a lot of people, and they reached out directly, which was kind of cool. The stuff that I personally post on social media, and again, everybody does things different, but I don't want to come off as braggy. I don't want people to see how cool and how awesome I am. So I think that alienates some people. I do not post anything about politics. I have my own beliefs and convictions, but by posting something about a certain candidate or a polarizing cause, you automatically alienate half the people that you're friends with. So it's obviously okay to have your own beliefs and opinions, but you don't want to alienate anybody who's on your Facebook. And I just want people to see that I'm out hustling and that I'm busy. You know, I post every time that I have a closing. I don't say, oh, look how good I am. I have this many closings this week, or I got this many offers accepted, because I just don't think that comes off as the same. But you want people to see that you're out showing places. You want people to see that you're out in the field. I mean, you're going on showings, you're making phone calls. You know, during COVID, I would take pictures of myself in my apartment, wearing the clothes I woke up in, with my hair in a huge frenzy, with my headset on, just saying, hey, you know, I'm up, I'm making calls, I'm available with any real estate needs you have. People just want to see that you're busy and that you're out there working your butt off. They don't want to hear about how cool you are. And anytime you have an open house, again, it's just, you know, any way that you can market yourself and show people that you're a busy real estate agent, that's in my opinion what you should be putting out on the interwebs. And it's mostly just about brand awareness. A direct touch, and this is something I would recommend everybody does, especially when you're first starting out. Go through your Facebook, go type something on Google Word. You know, hey, it's Nick. You know, hey, blank, it's Nick. You know, just want to let you know I'm in real estate and that I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. You can fire off the same Facebook message somewhere between 60 and 70 times a day until they throw you in Facebook jail for a day for spamming people. I know that because I've done that. And, you know, I would, when I started out, I messaged about 60 people a day on Facebook, and then I cooled it so I could do it the next day. But, you know, until you get through your friends list and everybody that you think should know about the fact that you're in real estate. And that extent, it's not as direct of a touch as a phone call or, you know, a face-to-face meeting. But if you get a positive response back, or they say thank you, ask them for their email. Say you want to send them updates about the market. And then there, you got a name and an email for people that you might want to do business with. Or a phone number. Hopefully you already have their phone number. There's a lot of different avenues that you can go through. I do mostly Facebook. I've been doing Facebook for 4 years. I'm just starting to get on Instagram. I like Facebook a lot better at this point because I think it's more user friendly. But there's people who pay more attention on one channel than another channel. So, you know, you could post the same stuff, but I think it makes sense to have an active presence on a couple different channels to catch the Instagram people and the Facebook people, LinkedIn people, Twitter people, whoever. Okay, I've talked for long enough. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
You're doing great, Nick.
Oh, you think so? Thank you.
No, I like what you said about what you post on your Facebook page. I have very like friendly stuff. I don't go too crazy at all. I don't post very often. So that's why I probably do need to post more. Usually when I do, it's a picture of a horse or a dog. Which is not really real estate related, but if anyone who knows me knows I have horses and dogs.
Yeah.
I just try to keep it very puppies and kittens and flowers. I like no politics, no nothing that's gonna offend anyone. People get so funny. Of course, then I have clients that befriend me and I go, oh, you know, the relationship was cool. I'll accept your invite. And they're all about politics. And I'm oh my God.
You know, you just wonder. And then sometimes you think, okay, maybe it's better I didn't post that about that in case they look me up. But that's another good point too. A good way to stay in front of your past clients is to have them on your social media so they can see you're still busy, and you know that it's just a way for them to remember you.
I don't send people invites. They find me.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, they found me because they want to keep my name either top of mind, or they just liked me and just want to stay in touch. Like
Sure.
whatever the reason is, if they weren't a total, not every client's going to be your best friend.
No,
You know.
definitely not.
A lot of my veterans are pretty friendly though. So I do tend to befriend them if they ask. So.
But what if, here's a question for you.
Mhm.
What if you change that mindset from I let them contact me because they want to stay in touch to I want to contact them because I want to stay in touch and I want to make sure that they don't forget about me.
I know, but I don't want my Facebook to be, yeah, but Facebook, I just hate to have it be blown up with a bunch of crap.
Yeah. Well,
I guess that's my
what they're
hesitation.
posting a bunch of crap, or you don't want to see their crap.
I don't want to see their crap.
Sure. Well, you can mute their crap and then they can see.
I suppose you can do that. I don't know. My social media presence, as I've gotten, every year, it's less and less. And I know it's like I'm backwards from people who are actively using it. So.
Well, and it's not going away, right? Again.
No. No, but Instagram's interesting. I don't know how to use it. I know people are on it, but I also know the generation that's probably spending money on houses is probably on Facebook, because Facebook is like, they say the older, even though we're not old, none of us are old here. It's just the older generation, whatever that means to you, is using Facebook versus Instagram.
The millennials.
There you go.
Yeah.
I go at the age where everyone's using Instagram, and we are all the first-time home buyers, and I've gotten so many good contacts from Instagram, and for some reason I feel like people think Instagram seems less formal than Facebook.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. So messaging them on Instagram is not as pushy almost as sending them like a Facebook message, and I've gotten a lot more contacts through that, I will say.
That's helpful.
Sorry. I don't even know what Instagram looks like. Like, I've tried going on it and honestly, I'm confused.
I think I agree with Elizabeth. Like, there is not a lot of debate on Instagram, right? Where it's more a platform to put yourself out there in positive way. I find Instagram to be way more positive and way more business friendly or brand friendly than Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, I've noticed that too. You don't see everybody just vomiting their opinion on Instagram. It's just pictures of whatever they want to take pictures of and show the world.
Okay, so maybe I need to investigate Instagram.
Maybe.
Yeah, I feel like with I follow so many brands on Instagram, and a lot of people post really artistic content and what they're doing, and they showcase a lot of small businesses and things like that. And I feel like it's so much more user friendly for a lot of people than Facebook, and inviting people to like your Facebook page, I feel like they're not as willing to do that as to like your Instagram page. I really target kind of your audience and what you're advertising on there, and I feel like it's not as aggressive.
And I feel like it doesn't feel as intimate a connection. Like on Facebook, you feel like, do I know this person in real life? You know what I mean? I'm sharing pictures of my babies and puppies, and whereas Instagram is like, I'm here for a purpose, and it just feels more directed to me. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
And
I think
TikTok videos eventually, because that's even the younger generation than me, that's what everyone's doing. And the amount of real estate agents I've seen using TikTok to kind of do visual walkthroughs and to market a day in the life of a realtor and little videos like that, I see that more and more. So we are going to explore that eventually. Woo! By we, I mean probably me. But yeah, I feel like the Facebook is very much like your age group and stuff, but I would not, my point of this whole thing is utilize social media, and I think it's getting older on TikTok or on Instagram than how we envisioned it originally. That makes sense.
No, that's good to know. I'll have to hop on Instagram. I just feel like I'm on my phone so much that if I keep adding more apps to my
Yeah.
phone, I'm just never gonna leave it.
Right. Yeah.
So, that's the idea, social dilemma. Uh,
Oh,
Yeah.
I just had a quick comment.
mhm.
A lot of it's, I think, saying the obvious, is, personal taste. And I know very little about Instagram. I was kind of putzing around with it, and it's really easy to post
Oh.
something, share it with your Facebook page.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
if, I don't know if I can do that with the business, I know I can do it with my personal one. So it's kind of a, double duty if you have different people who are on your Instagram versus Facebook.
Yes.
Yep, it's the same company, Jeannie.
Right, but not everyone looks at, like, I don't look at Instagram very much. I look at Facebook, but I'm just, I know it's the same company, but it is an easy way if you're not sure which is, where you'd get the most people who look. I
Oh,
don't know,
yeah.
that's just what I'm finding.
You can do one post on both platforms. Is that what you mean?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah,
oh,
and maybe that's
cool.
well known, but that's just part of me trying to figure out Instagram.
Yeah. You can also, I mean, cross your social media activities into whatever other prospecting or marketing you do. I use Snapchat, trying to use it more in my business. And yesterday I went and I flyered that neighborhood that I told you about. And I just took a picture of the door hanger that I had. And, I think I said I was pounding pavement. And I've had a couple people, I don't know if they're in the market to buy or sell, but they reached out and said something, I'll sell for this, haha, $500,000. But yeah, engagement. The whole goal is engagement. People, if they're engaging with you, that means that they're gaining familiarity with your brand. And that's the goal.
So are you adding people like clients to Snapchat?
I don't add them on Snapchat. I usually I
Okay.
add them to Facebook mostly.
Okay, that was just
Their
a question.
posts and check in with them every once in a while on there.
I
And
had-
it depends. I mean, if you have a 78-year-old veteran client, they're probably not going to be on Instagram, right?
Oh
And
no, probably not.
their kids may have made them a Facebook that they logged on to once and forgot the password. I mean, it just depends, but I think generally speaking, a lot of the first-time home buyers around our age, you've got a couple years on me, but they're on Facebook, right?
Oh,
They're on
thanks.
Instagram. Just a couple. Still young.
Yeah, no, nope, I'm liking what you're saying, and I'm liking what people are saying about Instagram, and I probably got to get with it
Yeah,
a little bit better.
you and me both.
Okay.
Mhm. Let's see. Okay, a lot of explaining.
This is very social media informative because I am not as savvy as one might have to be in this market.
Yeah, and
Lynn does better than me sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just, social media, knowing that so many people are on it is just an opportunity to stay top of mind.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's an opportunity to show people that you're busy and you're out working every day. Let's see. Supposed to explain the 80-20 rule. Let's discuss the 80-20 rule. Does anybody have a definition of the 80-20 rule that they'd like to share?
I'm not sure I know what that is.
Okay.
When you say it, maybe I'll know, but I don't know what you're talking about.
So the 80-20 rule basically states that 80% of the results you get in this business are going to stem from 20% of the top 20% of the activities that you do. So basically, to paraphrase that, most of the results that you get are going to come from a few specific channels. So basically for me, what the 80-20 rule is for me, I cold call, I make a lot of phone calls, be that circle prospecting or expireds. I do open houses, and I stay pretty active on social media. I'd have to look at my numbers from last year, but generally speaking, that is where I personally get the most return on my activities, and those are the things that I find myself doing the most. It's a good idea. It's advisable. You want to pick, instead of doing a bunch of things, everything we've talked about so far. I mean, if you try to get really good at all of these, you're not going to be good at any single one of them. I mean, you want to find a couple of specific avenues that you can commit to and focus on, that are going to produce you results, you know, instead of doing phone calls, door knocking, open houses, social media, each stage of business, having like 9 things you're doing and just doing a little bit of each. Pick 3 to 5 and just go with them. And I think the same can be said about social media, although you don't have 20 channels to pick from. But, you know, I chose with social media to dive really deeply into Facebook. That's where I focus most of my efforts. And now I've seen some results from that, and I'm starting to get more acclimated with Instagram, you know.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
For me, it does. Yep.
Yeah. So with everything we've discussed and everything back on, you know, this list of prospecting isn't necessarily exhaustive. These are all ideas, but take a look at this. I would start with just 2 to 3 that you can do. Watch some videos, talk to your coach, talk to Alec or Matt Brown about doing those activities and becoming good at them, and just start with those. Try them for 6 months, see how you like it, and see if there's any results that come from it. So if you try to do all 10 of these, again, you're going to spread yourself way too thin and exhaust yourself. Not that I don't think anybody on here could do all 10. I just know that it's going to be very frustrating, exhausting, and a lot of plates to spin at once, if you will.
I think picking 2 is a good idea.
You know,
I think social media and the fact that I'm going to commit to doing something in my neighborhood. I think that's all.
Yeah.
We will all be busier. We're showing houses like crazy, but I have this feeling it's not over.
No, it's
So I
definitely.
mean, we got to commit time to our clients and our home life a little bit.
You know, and for you, with what you've told me, an idea that comes to my head, which is something I'm trying to do in my neighborhood, is have just like an ongoing brand awareness ad through Command in your zip code, right?
I'm part of that neighborhood app.
Perfect.
And people actually use that in my neighborhood. So I'm gonna maybe throw a message on it and just say, hey, if you see me walking, you know, if you see me walking my 2 dogs.
Wait, isn't that a crime app, or is that used for other positive things?
Is that a what?
The neighborhood app, is that? I thought that was only a crime app.
Oh no, it's Nextdoor. Sorry, I'm on Nextdoor.
Oh, that too. In our neighborhood, everybody just posts, you know, suspicious people and criminals and bitching.
Mine is like, does anyone know this business I should support for a plumber? Like everyone, I don't know, up here, they're very friendly. They're just, you know, I've got a free table and chairs, who wants it? So I'm just gonna come from contribution on it. I'm just gonna throw it out into the world and take my dogs on a walk, see what happens.
That's a great idea.
You know, you don't have to go. Right? With Command, no, sorry. With Command, you could do a $10 ad spend every 2 weeks, just to see if there's any results. You don't need to immediately go in and dump $500 into, you know, some crazy ad campaign. You can start small and just see what results you get from that.
We do Facebook.
Yeah.
That seems to work.
Yeah.
But anyways,
So that's that. That's any questions on the 80-20 rule? Perfect. We'll keep going. Next section, taking actions and developing your plan. After this section, you will hopefully learn how to develop your own prospecting plan and be able to take some action. So I would say, you know, if there's a couple of things that you're thinking about based on our conversation that you want to implement and really dive deep into, this is the part where we brainstorm about how you actually do that and implement that for your business. Here again, the average real estate agent gets most of their business from their top 2 lead sources and 90% of their total business from their top 5 lead sources. So, you know, even these big teams doing hundreds of millions of dollars in transactions, they're not doing 18 different things. They're just doing, you know, 2 to 5 things at a very high level, and that's what's getting them the success and the results that they have. My team included, the Odd Couple team. They just picked 2 to 5. The top lead generation sources for the millionaire real estate agents are referrals, working your sphere of influence, the people who know you, love you, trust you. Repeat business once you get a couple closings under your belt. Purchase leads. I would shy away from that one personally, especially Zillow. Please don't pay Zillow, bad idea. Yard signs, which, I mean,
what do you mean yard? Sorry,
Pardon?
what do you mean yard sign? Yard signs for like the agent's yard, or yard signs for like the houses you list?
I'd say yard signs for the houses you list. I'm thinking like sign calls. You know, if you put a listing in a neighborhood, you want to have your sign with your info on there so people can call you directly. You
Hey
know.
Nick, are people running into this? Has happened twice now in the last week. People not wanting to put yard signs in their yard.
It really depends. I mean, you obviously have to have people's permission to put yard signs in, and I know some associations actually don't want yard signs in yards if you're listing a townhome or a condo.
Mm-hmm.
Not it wouldn't be an HOA. In this case, it would be homeowners who feel like that would put their house at risk, like in certain neighborhoods or in any neighborhood. You know, that people may assume the house is vacant or whatever their reasoning is.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily think that people connect the dots if a house is for sale that it's going to be vacant, unless the house very obviously is vacant. And in this market with online and everything, there's obviously many more ways for the consumer to find your house other than driving by it and seeing the sign. However, I do still think that putting a sign in the yard, it's not gonna kill a sale normally, I'd say, where the house doesn't sign because there's a sign in the yard. But if your clients are open to it, I would always put a sign in the yard just because it's one more opportunity for you to market the property.
But how would you combat that in a list meeting if someone says, I don't want a sign in my yard because for whatever their reason is? Like what's your combat?
Well, I mean, it depends on the reason. I mean, if a house is vacant and they've had issues in the past of people trying to break in or squatters there, I don't know if that's that situation, but I guess that's a situation where I would understand if they didn't want to put a sign in the yard and advertise that it's for sale if it's a known vacant property. But I would just say what I just said. People don't I'm of the belief people don't necessarily connect the dots that just because there's a for sale sign, the house is vacant, especially if the outside of the property is upkept. You know, if there's a mountain of snow in the driveway and it just doesn't look like anyone lives there, that may be broadcasting to the public that it's not lived in and it's for sale. But as long as somebody's keeping up with the exterior, I just don't, without knowing the specific situation, I guess I just don't know if people would necessarily automatically think that the house is vacant. But I would just phrase it as it's one more opportunity to get eyes on your house, especially for the neighborhood and everything. And I mean, if they're not comfortable with it, you know, at least you give them the option.
Nick, with the program you use Mojo, right?
I do.
With the program that you use, like how it works, do you get asked like, I want only expires and they give you only expires or?
So depends on which program. I use Mojo as a dialer and I use LandVoice for data. And in LandVoice, I'm not sure about getting data from Mojo because I never have. You can tell them specific zip codes you want information or you want homeowners info from, if you want to call expireds or canceleds. You can also, with LandVoice, you can type in an address and it'll give you the closest 100 to 300 households, and most of them will have phone numbers. You can also do white pages. I've heard of people having success with white pages, but I really like Mojo as a dialer.
Then this is maybe a weird question, but do you have people get like, I don't know, uncomfortable that you just found their contact information?
Oh, every time I call. That's it.
Like, how do you, I don't know what you'd say if they ask, how did you get my contact?
Oh, I use a dialer that pulls contact info. How long have you been in your house? You know, yeah, I got a hold of you. Get over it. Sorry, that's when I'm making a bunch of calls. That's kind of my mindset, and that might be a little pushy for some people. But if I'm calling you, you know, if they're very obviously uncomfortable, just say, you know, hey. If they say they're uncomfortable, they want to be removed from the list. Just be very polite and say, you know, sorry about that. I'll make sure you don't get calls from me anymore. Have a nice day. And you're going to get that. You are absolutely 100% going to get that. It's unavoidable. You could be the best salesman in the world. You could be the worst salesperson in the world. Some people are going to be irritated that you called for whatever reason if they don't know you. And as long as you're respectful, that's the best that you can do. But there's a lot of opportunity on the phone, which is why I still call. But you're going to, some people are going to get upset. And some people are also going to get upset if you knock on their door. And others are going to get upset if you leave a flyer. And others are going to get upset if you send them a card. You can't not do things because a select few people are going to get offended by what you do. If you're not making somebody upset or offending somebody, I might get in trouble for saying this. I would say you gotta talk to more people because they're out there. You talk to enough people, somebody might not want to get bothered. And again, that's fine. Just don't do it again. Tell them to have a nice day and then forget that they exist. lost my train of thought. Where was I? Okay. Like we've talked about, it's easier to master and scale 1 or 2 lead generation methods in your business as opposed to trying to do 6, 7, or 8. Pick a couple of channels and avenues that you really want to do well, and master them. That's better than I don't know if anybody here watches Parks and Rec, but there's a quote that comes to mind from Ron Swanson. He says that he would rather, what did he say? Instead of half-assing several things, he'd rather whole-ass one thing. And, you know, you want to find a couple of avenues that you're comfortable doing and that you're really willing to commit to. Let's see. And something important as you go along, something that I'm admittedly not the best at, or I have to do at the end of the year, is after every calendar year, you want to check and see where the business that you closed came from. And over time, you're going to notice some patterns, and then you're going to figure out, okay, what activities am I doing that's helping me generate business? And is that activity that I'm, you know, willing to double down on? And then it'll also help you focus, okay, where am I focusing my time that isn't really producing any results? Do I want to continue doing that? So does anybody want to comment based on everything we've talked about where they think they want to commit their lead generation effort?
I'll go. I'm gonna do a handwritten note.
Okay.
This will sound crazy to you guys, but to every house on like 6 square blocks of where I live and work. Because chances are on every one of those streets, I know 6 out of the 10 people living in those houses. So I want to share some personal news with them. And then, I don't know, the people I don't know, they'll know me now.
Yeah. So that's a lot of writing.
It is. I got a lot of time.
Okay.
And I like writing. I grew up in a family where we were trained to write cards and stuff. And I will say, you guys, and everybody else who started really recently with Keller Williams probably got the same notes I got. But like when we got introduced to the Keller Williams team not team, like the whole brokerage, like Chad here wrote me a note and put a stamp on it in his writing, put a business card in it. And all it said was like 1 sentence, probably 4 words. And I remember that, right? Like I'm like old fashioned in that way, that people putting pen on paper really means a lot to me. And I've been in this neighborhood for so many years and know so many people in real life and uniquely each relationship that I can like, yeah, I can do it. I have a lot of time.
No, and I think that's a really good idea. One thing I would say just before you embark on that, I would check the library on command for graphics, because you might, even if you have a lot of time, you might save yourself a lot of time, and you can still like sign them or something, but maybe you want to look into printing something off and sending it to them.
I'm on a team and I have the branded note cards to the team. So I'm gonna use those. I don't have to spend money on mine. I don't know. I have like 4 months to roll this out. So it's not like I'm doing it. That's not my job this week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay. Well, that's an option. Does anybody else have any ideas what they're gonna do?
Just so unrelated, it kind of is related, but does anyone have a good website for getting branded, like, cards? No,
To
cards, but like, and like cards you can write handwritten notes on.
To Nora, Harry, Nora with the Boz Harwood team. Talk to her.
yeah, or even Jordan at the front desk, you can buy cards, I believe, just directly from the front desk, and you can get the little envelope, little thank you cards.
I think, aren't those KW though? Don't you want yours to be like Mod and Dot, Elizabeth?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if you wanted more branded cards, I would talk to Nora or some of the teams around here to find out who they use. Okay. We can move on. Develop a prospecting plan. Everybody who has it open, turn to page 14 in their participant guide. Let's see. I don't know if anybody has that in front of them. You don't need to necessarily do this now because we'll just keep going. But there's an activity for you to do to put a action plan in place for you to be completed independently. Let's see. Ahas to achievement. Over time together is to help you think, feel, act, and use what you've learned to ignite your passion and help you achieve your big why. Is everybody familiar with the concept of big why?
Yep.
Okay. Has everybody given thought to their big why, or why they're doing this, why they are kickstarting their?
I have a really hard time with my big why.
So do I, Beth. So you're definitely not alone there. Is there anything else you wanna share about that? I have something I'll share, but you're just not sure what your big why is.
I have a hard time because, the word big, maybe, like, I don't know, my why feels really small and simple, and is not monetarily driven, which doesn't really fit within the parameter of the real estate world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I appreciate you sharing that, because in a lot of ways I'm sort of in the same boat. I'm 27. I don't have any children that I'm trying to build this beautiful future for yet. And admittedly, my big why right now, I just call it my why. I'm just trying to get, I'm trying to get the wheels spinning and get off the ground before I'm 30. That's really my big why right now. And that's for me right now. I think it's okay. It's okay not to know exactly what your big why is. I know eventually, when my values change and I mature, I guess, or get older, my drive might be shifted, or my focus may adjust. But for now, I want to set myself up to build a big business so I can do what I'm passionate about down the road. So you don't necessarily need to have a big why. You can just have a why, or a small why, as you called it. But everybody has a reason for wanting to be in business right now, right?
Well, I thought the big why was not really business, it's like purpose, or am I wrong?
It is. It can be whatever you want it to be. Mine happens to be business right now. But yeah, it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah,
But-
so this is why I'm bad at the big Y.
Mhm.
I'm sitting here figuring out Instagram.
Okay.
Good job.
I had an Instagram. I just changed my name to Ashley Erickson Realtor. Let me do that. So I'm on to something.
There you go.
Another thing you can do too is create like a separate profile, and you can do it as a professional profile.
Mhm.
And then you can do advertisements, I know, through Instagram. We have yet to do this, but
We'll see how good I get with this one.
yeah, there you go.
Hey, Elizabeth, how do you tag companies in posts? Like my daughter does that, and she got like, I can ask her too, I guess, but maybe share with the group. She got like $360 in free baby clothes because she tagged a company that she does business with. How do you, and I tried to do it and I can't.
So I think like you might have to have a relationship already built with them. I don't know if they just specifically reach out to you, but
So a
basically
follow and a follow back has to happen before you can tag anybody.
you can tag them. So you go, let me go to Instagram, let me try. Okay, so if you're gonna post a new picture, and then you go to tag people, you click on the picture and then you type in the name of whatever company it is. And then they're tagged on it, or in the caption, you can do the @ sign and then tag them that way. I
Yeah,
don't know,
tried that, didn't work.
really? Does the company have an Instagram account?
Yeah,
Okay, so maybe, that's really weird.
they might have it set up so people cannot tag them. That's, I don't know.
They
Is that a
should,
thing?
I don't think so, but maybe Beth, do you want to screenshot it and send it? You text it to me.
Yeah.
All right. We'll
Not
keep,
now, 'cause I'm driving. I'll get back with you later, Elizabeth.
okay, we'll get back talking about elementals goals to set your career on fire. The goal of elementals is for you to get their first contract and closing, and tasks are the activities they need to do to grow and run their business. You can use reports in command to track their database health. The goal with the database is to keep their overall score at least 50% or greater, which means you're adding leads that have valid contact info and several different ways to contact them. One of the daily success habits is memorizing and internalizing scripts. Has anybody done script practice or heard about script practice or what it is and why it's important? So script practice is important because when you talk to enough people, whether it's at their door, at an open house, or over the phone, you talk to enough people, you're going to start picking up on some patterns, patterns of, things that you keep hearing over and over from multiple different people, depending on circumstances. One objection that's very popular right now, I want to sell my house, but I have no idea where I'm going to go because there just aren't that many houses on the market right now. So that's a good one to script around. Otherwise, you can go on Keller Williams University, or you can go to either Alec or Matt in the office. They have a plethora of real estate scripts that you can use based on some common objections that you may get from homeowners or home buyers or prospects. Script practice is important. It's not only what you say when you're scripting, but it's how you say it. that's important. And I would argue that even if you flub through and say a script 70% correctly, if you say it confidently, that's going to sound better than sounding like a scripted robot reading off a sheet of paper. So when you're practicing scripts, I would almost place more emphasis on the way that you say the scripts to sound convincing than reading the words off of the sheet of paper. That's my approach, at least. Yeah, just like a doctor learns anatomy before working with patients, agents need to learn scripts to prepare to have meaningful conversations with clients. With scripts, you control the conversation by using purposeful language that helps you get to the end point, which is a closed transaction. They help you communicate your value. Once you have internalized scripts, you can add your value proposition, which will help lead generation efforts and lead to closed deals. Scripts help you uncover motivations as a buyer and seller and identify any objections so you can handle them up front. They also allow you to have a rehearsed response that delivers a powerful message in a way that the consumer will best understand. The scripts allow you to ask questions in a way that will be able to quickly share the information you need to better serve them, and it'll help you gain confidence. See, so how I just read that, you do not want to sound like that when you're talking to somebody on a phone or in person, because I was very obviously reading it off. I got 90% of the words right. I flubbed a couple of times, but you don't want to sound like that. You want to sound like, you're off the cuff, confident about what you're saying. That's going to shine a lot more through than sounding scripted. And Ashley, you made a comment just about not having any gray hair and people not taking you seriously. You're going to hit people that just don't take you seriously because you're not 80 years old, but
I didn't mean to make anyone feel old. I just meant like people still perceive me as young.
I'm not either.
Yeah, that's
I don't
all.
think anybody on here is 80 years old. If you are, you're rocking it. There's nothing wrong with being 80 years old either. But if you can sound confident in what you're saying, it doesn't matter how old you appear to be, basically. I think.
Yeah.
I have a quick question outside of the subject.
Mhm.
Sorry. Has anybody used Open Door to open a house? Because I used to have an older phone where I don't remember putting any information, and right now I downloaded and it's asking me for all my information.
Sure.
So I don't know.
Open Door, the app?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I don't know.
I'm trying to schedule a showing for an Open Door agent house, an Open Door house, and it's not allowing me. So
Okay, is that property also listed on the MLS? Typically,
yes,
it is?
but when I try to schedule it, it says when I try to schedule it, it says like it's not available to schedule online.
Okay, only through the Open Door app, correct?
No, that's what I'm trying to do right now. It's not allowing, like, it's asking me all my information, so.
Okay.
Has anybody downloaded Open Door to see?
Yeah, I would, and I forgot. I haven't done an Open Door transaction for over a year, but they want everybody to download their app in order to see the place.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a Cracker Jack company, quite frankly, but
Okay.
I would just download the app and have it. And when you're showing places, I would make sure that you're the one unlocking the door for them.
Okay.
Because Open Door, basically, it's called Open Door because they want consumers without an agent to go tour their properties. It's, we can talk offline about my feelings about that company, but I won't subject everybody to it. I would just download it, give it the information that they're asking for, and anytime that you have a client that wants to look at an Open Door property, make sure you're the one that's opening the door for them and they're not going and unlocking it themselves.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
All right. So, script practice. This is supposed to take 30 minutes. But let's just do this instead because we're running low on time. Does anybody have a script that they'd like to either hear or script through? Anybody that they're talking to? Any objections that they're getting? Anything?
I have a random question that
Please.
I don't know if it fits into what you're looking for. Hang on. When people like I've had people reach out to me, a couple people, and ask to set them up on an MLS search,
Yes.
which they're not gonna sign a buyer's contract, right?
Mhm.
So what does that look like for you? Like one person's looking for something in the country, $250,000 or under within an hour of the city with, woods or something and a little bit of land. The other one's looking for anything up to $1 million in certain neighborhoods in Minneapolis.
Okay.
But she lives in Denver and is an old college friend of mine that I haven't seen in 30 years.
Okay.
So how do you handle those conversations? Or do you just set up the search and say, okay, hey, this will be fun. Let's see what this drums up. I don't know how to.
Yeah, so I mean, use your own discretion. If it's I know some agents, they just sling out MLS searches to anybody. I personally don't do that. If it's a close friend, somebody who I'm not as concerned about them going somewhere else without a buyer rep contract, or like a relative, especially if they're out of town, like from Denver, you said. I don't have any qualms personally about getting them set up on our MLS, but somebody who wants you to send them info but doesn't want to commit to you, I usually honestly dangle the MLS like a little carrot in front of them. I explain the value of the MLS, which is that, every third party site that they see is getting their information from the MLS. And when the market is moving as fast as it is, it's important to be on an MLS search that is giving them the updated info in real time based on what they're looking for. And I also explain that it's important to be through the MLS because that's how you're able to schedule showings for them. But if they're not willing to do that, I usually send them my mobile app, and I sell them the idea of getting on my mobile app, because a pain point of a lot of these third-party apps, aside from yours, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, is that their information is being sold to third parties, which is other agents that are paying for those apps to get their info. And if you spend enough time on Zillow, you're going to start getting calls from random agents who, are trying to solicit to them. So, I personally, again, and everybody's different, but I am not super willy-nilly about handing out MLS unless I know someone is committed to me. There are special cases with that, but everybody you talk to and intend on working on, I would send the mobile app, and then it's, again, just like every other item of value, it's an excuse to check in on them, see if they're liking the app, and get an update on their situation. Does that help?
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, definitely. Compliance, do not call. Don't call the do not call list. Again, I think we're ending on script practice. Does anybody have anything that they would like to script? Otherwise, we can dip into marketing for the last 25 minutes or so. Perfect. We're going to dive into marketing, everybody. Let's see. Let's see. This just goes over this. This isn't as intensive this. Again, you know, we've talked about prospecting versus marketing. Marketing is more passive, whereas prospecting is more direct. You want to have a healthy combination of both for brand awareness and making sure people see your brand awareness. We've talked about examples of lead generating prospecting. What are some examples of prospecting that people have seen? Again, this might be some repeats, but what are some that you see real estate agents doing over and over and over again? Bus signs, billboards, some Facebook media ads where you're scrolling through and you see a sponsored ad from an agent. Those are all examples of marketing, which are important, again, for awareness of your brand as a business. But marketing alone is not going to have people lining up your door, and marketing, in order to have any effect by itself, takes consistently and takes consistent marketing over time to really have any fruitful results. Let's see. Tech demo. Has anybody played around with the design tool in Command at all?
A little bit.
A little bit? Okay. Like open house flyers, or what are you doing there?
And mostly just like explore what they have.
Okay. So why don't we, let's end on this. I mean, we've discussed prospecting and everything. And open houses, again, everybody on here, including myself, should be trying to find open houses, I think, especially if you're trying to work with buyers. It's a tough market with buyers right now, but open houses have been off the hook lately just because there's so few properties listed for sale. So if you want to get to meet buyers and get familiar with buyers and working open houses, this is a good time. So if you're going to do an open house, I would recommend doing that flyering. And I'm going to really quick here, go to Command.
So we didn't find out what's
Hello. Oh, thought that was Heather. So I'm going to go to Command here and just play around on there to show you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a sec if I can figure out how. Stop share. Then I'm going to go to Command. Excuse me. Okay, can everybody see my screen again? Perfect. So in Command, if you go down to this icon, which is third from the bottom, it's called Designs. You can make flyers, marketing material, things you can print off, icons that you can share with your sphere or social media. You can pretty much do all of your marketing straight from Command. And you can do graphics for emails or do an email blast, landing pages for open houses, social media posts, printouts like flyers. You can design your agent site and do little graphics on videos. So let's say I wanted to make a flyer for my open house. I would go to print, and I don't want to look at my designs. Brooke Boss is somebody who's really good with Command too, and someone I would recommend talking to. But okay, here I want to do print for an open house. I add print. Now it's going to redirect me. They make it very simple. Again, I'm very obviously not a techie person. But you just go over to the side. I believe it's under lead generation. It's not. It's under listings. You can go to open house. It gives you all these different designs that are very tastefully done, better than anything I would bother trying to make on my own. Personally, just pick the first one. Let it load. And you can personalize this. Oops. Shoot, I gotta start over. And again, I'll admit I've done this before since I've joined a new team a couple months ago. I haven't done this for a couple of months because the team does this for me. So I apologize if I'm not super polished, but I just want to show you where it is and how you can do this. My computer's been a little glitchy lately, so please bear with me. So if you want to do it for listing, I'm just going to look here on our MLS. And I'm going to pick one of my team's listings that, let's say I want to do an open house for this weekend. So all of our listings are under our team leader, Shane. So I'm going to look up Shane Montoya. Just again, hypothetically, as if I'm going to be doing an open house for him. And what you want to do is, actually here, let's do this. Our listing office ID is 10071. You may want to write that down. And then you go up and you do actively for sale houses with no contingency accepted, because those are the ones that you want to do open houses for. And right now there's 9, which is last, I think 2 years ago, there were 20 at this time, and that was extremely low. So that gives you an idea of how we're doing in the market right now. There is not a ton currently for sale within our market center, unfortunately. But let's say I want to do this Roseville one. I would ask Peter Hiller, who's in the office, to do an open house. And this is new construction, but let's just pretend that this is not new construction right now. Let's say it was a previously owned house. So I'm going to use this MLS, the MLS ID, and I'm going to go to the KWLS icon in the bottom here and look it up. It's not working. I need to look by MLS number. Okay, it's picking up on a different one. Maybe that's because it's new construction. So I'm gonna find a previously owned one. Sorry, this is just what happens sometimes. You gotta flub through it. Okay, this is an odd couple team listing. So I'm gonna use this one instead. MLS number. Why is it giving me Arizona listings? I'm not in Arizona. Sometimes it's, I mean, Command's not perfect yet. But it's already so much better than it was even a year ago. So these little glitches, the fact that this is happening, it's irritating. But the fact that it's glitching and people aren't able to use it as well as we should be able to use it yet, means that it just needs work. Okay, so this isn't working and I'm sorry, but typically what you do is you put in the MLS ID here and you can auto-populate all of the info that you're looking for. You can choose a couple of pictures that you want to use. You can auto-populate your picture and information here, and you'll write up here what time your open house is and, you know, the address and everything so people know where to go. And that's something you can bring door to door and have at your open house for people to look at, just with some info on there. Go door knocking door to door and have one that you can pass out to people that go to your open house. That's what you can do. And again, I'm sorry, I look like an idiot. This isn't working, but talk to Brooke Boss. She is very, very good. Okay, I think we're just about wrapped up. Does anybody have any questions? Again, I'm sorry my demo didn't quite work out.
Thank you for all the info. It was very interesting, Nick.
Okay, cool. I'm glad. I hope you got something out of it. I'm just telling you what I know, which isn't a ton. Always learning in this business. So if nobody has any pressing questions or anything, we can probably, I'll get off about 10 minutes early. But if anybody does have anything, I can type my number in here. Where's the chat box? Where is it? There it is. I'll type my number in the chat box. If anybody has any questions that come up, feel free to message me and I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has as best as I can.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.